What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
WBOSS Bossman Radio. The South's commercial bill flamethrower. Bossman in the band.
Got time for one more here.
Live from Studio C, two guys who ask, wonder what they're doing in T-Town right now? Not this. It's South Alabama's #1 podcast, Drive Time with DJ and KJ.
Good Tuesday morning and welcome to Drive Time, brought to you by Jim Peach Motors and Peach Chevrolet. Good morning, Adam Manasco, Nick Green, Renee Boyington. Good morning to you, Timmy Wiggins, Leslie Franklin, Hot Rod's in. Good morning, Hot Rod. Mary Blair, Mark Miller, Robert Moy. Good morning, Robert. Waylon Peavy, Miss Gale's in. Good morning, Miss Gale. Roger Templeton, Lisa McGraw, Donald Thompson, Leroy Jordan from D-Mop. Good morning, Lee. Rhett Joyner. Reed Joyner's in. Good morning, guys. Dwayne King, Tracy Miller, Tracy Steele. Raj is in. Good morning, Raj. Reggie Marshall, good morning to you. Lewis Highnote, good morning. Tim Ward's in. Good morning, Tim. Temple Kinley, good morning. Kara Hasselbrink Blackman, good morning to you, Kara. Coach Tiepo's in. Monica Williams Graydon, one of the girls of 87. Good morning, Monica. Nick Ethers is in. Good morning to you. Diane McCracken, good morning. And Summy Moore, Jax. Good morning, Summy. Good morning, Kenwood. And we have some very special guests with us here this morning from DHR. We have, I'll go around the horn, Lynn Barnes, the director at DHR. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Tracy James Malden, the DHR foster care supervisor. Good morning to you. Jennifer Strawbridge, DHR foster care supervisor. Is that right? Resource. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Resource coordinator.
That's right.
Yes. And Maggie Sibbernagel, yes, the chairs the board there for DHR, and is also the executive director. The executive secretary of the Philadelphia Place. So we're going to talk about that project here in just a moment. Good morning to each of you, and thank y'all for being here with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Want to spend a few minutes. We're not going to be in a big hurry about this because this is something that's very serious and, of course, a concern to all of us. We have a crisis, I think is a fair word to use here, with foster care, foster children, the network in general. And Lynn, if you just give us an overlay of what is going on, where we are at, and where the need is, and how we can help. We'll get into some more specific details of it here in just a moment.
Okay. We've recently just seen a huge increase in the number of children coming into foster care. This is being driven by a number of factors, the largest being drug use. And with that also has come a decrease in the number of in-county foster homes to care for these children. So we have more children coming in to care, less people in county to care for them. So currently we have about 71 children that are in the custody of our department. Only about 36 of those children are in county, and they are spread amongst about 11 homes. So all of the homes in county are full. They are completely full to capacity. So the remaining children are being placed in either out-of-county foster homes, group homes, residential facilities, and it's difficult many times to uproot these children, move them from the places they know, the community they're used to, the church families they're used to, school activities, all of those things that really help ground children. When they come into foster care, they lose that when they do not have a place in county to live. So that is where we're at today. It is a crisis. It's not just Escambia County. I've been asked that a number of times. We get calls, we get emails consistently from other counties, northern counties, asking, do we have homes for children? Because there are just not enough places for children in the state of Alabama to go.
I want to say this for my own understanding or better understanding. A kid goes into the foster system by court order more times than not. Is that correct? I mean, the child has no say-so in that. If the judge decides based on whatever facts there may be, that kid is in the system and then at the mercy of the system to some degree. Is that correct?
That's correct. Now, we have had some children that have basically been abandoned, and we deal with them much the same way as we do when the department gets involved with a family and unfortunately can't secure safety for that child, and the child has to enter foster care. And the most difficult part of that whole process is that the child is the one that ends up being punished, so to speak, because they lose everything that is many times near and dear to them, which is that community connection, their friends at school, all of the things that, when you think back when you were a child that made life worth living, these kids
even
lose
your
that.
Pets.
True. Many times they lose their pets. So when, custody is transferred to us, many times these children feel like they are being punished for coming forward or for abuse or neglect being determined.
For a child to go into the foster system, does that mean there was not an immediate family member that could take on that responsibility and they have no other options? Is that what happens?
That's correct. We always look to family first. Always. If we can find a family member that is willing and able to care for a child, that is going to be our first place we look. Children that enter care, there is just absolutely nothing else the department can do to make sure that child is safe.
So here in our area, we've talked about the crisis, and of course, it's not just Escambia County, Alabama. It is outreaching, nationwide. I'm assuming
it is.
Here in Escambia County, what can somebody, if they wanted to help today, what is the best way that help can be offered today? Is it monetary donations? Is it being willing to take on a child? What is the very best way somebody can help today?
There are a number of ways the community can help. And, when we talk about the need for foster homes, certainly we're talking about we need people to commit to helping care for these children. We want to try to get enough people interested in this to at least go through our training program. We have a 10-week training program that's specifically designed to help people really make a determination whether fostering is right for them. And, it's informational. There is absolutely, no push for people to do this. People make their decision based on the training, whether they believe they can do this or it's not right for their family. So certainly that would be first and foremost on our list. If you don't feel you could foster, we still need respite parents who would be willing to help care for children on the weekends or maybe for a week to give the foster parents we currently have licensed a break. In addition, we need people willing to take these children who are out of county, that are in group home settings, that don't have family. Be willing to take them at Christmas or at Thanksgiving to at least give them some sense of family and connection back to this community. In addition to that, people that are willing to sponsor our children, whether it's for band instruments or prom dresses or things that they need that they don't have anybody to buy for them. We want children that are in foster care to have the most normalized life that they can have. And sometimes they end up not getting the same things as your children or my children would get. So the community can help in that regard. In addition, Miss Maggie is here, and, she's going to talk a little bit about Philadelphia Place, which would be a tremendous blessing to our county. And, it is in the formation stages. They need funding. So if all of the other things that we talked about are not something you feel like you could do, there's always the giving, the monetary donation.
Before we get to the Philadelphia House, I have one more question on the foster front. Is it a common occurrence that like multiple children, like siblings, come into the system, and are they in turn split up?
This is the first time in my career I've been at DHR for going on 27 years now. And this is the first time in my career that I have seen 2 sets of twins in foster care at the same time and 2 sibling groups of 7 in foster care at the same time. Now, one of our sibling groups of 7 is with a family member, and we're able to, keep them under one roof. The other sibling group, we had to split between 2 homes, which many times is a travesty in and of itself, because siblings, many times, especially in abusive or neglectful homes, they're all they have is each other. So when we split them, it just basically re-traumatizes them. So we need homes, that will care for older children, large sibling groups, all of these difficult pieces of, what we deal with as a social service agency.
Good morning, Jesse James, Denise Finley, Judy Crane, John Hart, Booker's in. Good morning, Booker. Ricky Thomas, Chevy Ann's in. Good morning to you. Carrie Evans, LaDon Simmons, Ray Stewart, MC's in. Good morning. JD Cast, Naomi Lindsay. Good morning to you. Amanda Gwynn's in. Jennifer Q. Good morning. Elisa Finley Hart. Good morning. Jefferson Martin. Good morning to you. Stephanie Johnson Manasco. Ferris Patton Dunn's in. Good morning. Coach Edge is in. Good morning, Coach. Allie Sawyer. Good morning, Allie. Connie Baggett's in. Jake Hodge. Good morning to each of you. Tara Hardy and Ashley Brooke Aldridge. If you are just joining us, we have DHR in with us discussing the foster care crisis, some of the things that our kids in our county are facing currently, and some of the ways that we think that we can help, and some of the projects on board and or online to come on board. And talking about that, I want to bring in Maggie Subbernagel, and we were talking a little bit about the Philadelphia place.
Right.
Speaking a little more detail of what that is in terms of a vision and how it's going to become a reality here in Escambia County.
Okay. The Philadelphia house was a vision that I got after reading and crying. I cried for 3 weeks after I read the book, A Child Named It, by David Pulser. If you have not read that book, I highly recommend it. It will give you an eye-opening experience of what some of these children that we get go through. And it was a horrifying experience. And so Philadelphia Place actually came from 3 weeks of praying and crying. And it is a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid. We need a place to bring our children. If we don't have a home when Lynn and Jennifer and Tracy bring the kids into the DHR system, into the system, then sometimes they sleep at the DHR. And that means these people, these ladies, are there with them. And it's not healthy. The child has been torn from its parents and torn from the home, torn from the school, the church. They left their dog. They left their bicycle. They were just picked up, and all they got was a garbage bag, a black garbage bag, if they had any extra clothes to put in it. And so we needed a place for those children to spend the night until we were able to find a more permanent solution to their problem. Well, it grew from that into more of like a group home, and we do have plans for that. Now, that is, like I said, a Band-Aid. It will give 7 to 10 children a home, and hopefully for a very long time. But right now, it is in the planning stage. We've applied for our 501c3, and that I should be hearing from the IRS in November. And we've been doing fundraising to get the reserve that the state requires. We're doing the licensing. We are looking for a place to put Philadelphia Place. We would like it to be more in the central part of the county, so it's more easily accessible.
Right.
And frankly, we're really praying that someone will donate the land and donate either the house or donate the money to build a house. This is not just our problem. When children don't have homes, they become homeless. And what do homeless people do? How do they survive? They, a lot of times, survive by stealing. So if we want Escambia County to be a good, safe place to live, then we have to provide for those who cannot provide for themselves. And if we do that, which is if we all do it, if we all, 49,000 people gave $5, we could house these children. If every Baptist church member took in one child, we wouldn't have a problem. But the problem has been we were not aware of the situation. And that is why we're here today, because we need you, fellow Escambia County residents, to understand we have a problem. We have kids with no homes. We need you to step up, or they will be breaking in your sheds. Now, I don't mean to scare you, but if you've got any common sense at all, you're going to know I'm telling you the truth.
You know, you talked about some of the requirements and the reserve that has to be met. In addition to operating expenses, you have to have $85,000 that just sits in the bank at all times. Is that correct? Is that the number I heard correctly?
That's correct.
And y'all were making a little bit of headway in terms of having that reserve there, and of course getting your credentials in line, licensing or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then when you get all that in line and your 501c3 becomes validated, you then put yourselves in position to go after bigger grants. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But if somebody wanted, or if somebody had the property, the home, being a 501c3, that would be a tax deductible contribution.
Yes,
and so, you know, if anybody knows anybody that owns property anywhere in the county, ideally we'd like for it to be in the central part of the county for logistical reasons, but we'll take anything, anywhere. If you know of someone, get in contact with DHR and see if that can be facilitated, because I'll be honest with you, you know, I've lived here my whole life and I ride these roads every day, and I didn't know that it was a crisis mode. It's not that you turn a deaf ear to it or a blind eye to it. No. You just, you know, it's almost like if it's not happening in your backyard, you just don't know.
And people don't like to think about children being maltreated. They don't like to think about the horrors that befall children, and, you know, how children end up in, you know, the foster care system. But, you know, terrible things happen in this county. Terrible things happen in this state to the most vulnerable of our population. And, you know, I just think it's time as a community we start talking about it. We start planning for it. We start really thinking about how we can lessen the trauma for these children, because many of them have gone through things that as adults we would have never thought of before. I mean, I talk about a phone call I got, you know, it's been about a week or 2 weeks ago, from the director in Autauga County up in Prattville. And she called me after hours and she said, Lynn, we're hunting a foster home. We've got to have a foster home for some children. And, you know, she said, let me tell you the circumstance. And, you know, most folks that read the newspapers or read, you know, Alabama news probably recall seeing about, you know, a little 13-year-old that was found chained to a door, naked. All the children in the home had been starved. You know, you read the national news and you think, oh, that's happening in New York or that's happening in California. Folks, it's happening right in our back door. And it's scary, but it's just the reality.
You know, it is.
I know this is probably a terrible question for me to ask, but I got to ask this because I got a daughter. How do y'all keep from killing people? I mean, like, that do these kids this way? I know this is probably an awful question for me to ask. I wouldn't be able to walk up and see something like that. I'd go right back out to my truck, get a 12 gauge, and go back in there, and I'd take care of the mom and daddy that done a kid that way. That's awful.
I think part of what you have to set your mind around, and this goes back to what Maggie was saying earlier, many times this is generational. You know, Parents only do to their children what was done to them, and they can only